Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's time again for the Unfiltered News by G. Edward Griffin's newsletter, compiled by him and his news scouts. The unfiltered news from the reality zone, where political correctness is not spoken here. And I hope you have a wonderful Friday. It's March 1st, day of the sequester, or sequestration, as they are calling it. And this is the comic strip for this week. Help! Stop the arbitrary cuts! Obama screams as they're trimming the sequestration tree trimmer is going at it, and federal spending on the dark side of it. Oh yes. Let's see how this goes now. Anywho, to the headlines for this week. And we start out with, on March 1st, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that citizens are prohibited from challenging government surveillance laws. The court sidestepped the question of constitutionality of spying on citizens without a warrant and focused instead on the question of whether citizens had standing to sue the government. Really? The court ruled that they do not unless they can prove that they were injured in some way as a result of surveillance. Really, your privacy, Fourth Amendment rights just out the window, I guess. Natural news, March 1st. Next, Arizona. A bill allowing gold and silver to be used as legal tender by businesses in the state government has passed the Senate. It must be passed by House and signed by the governor before becoming law. The bill is modeled after legislation previously passed in Utah. Cool. Hopefully it will come to all 50 states, while the remaining 48. Activist posts March 1st, today. Video. The U.S. Defense Department gave $26 million to Drake University to conduct mind meld study, which linked the brains of two rats in separate countries through the internet. The rats performed identical tasks based on one rat's experience and knowledge. This video places that experiment into context of other military projects aimed at developing armies of animals and robots that are programmed to seek out and destroy uncooperative humans, of course, us. Whoever doesn't agree with the God government, and the banksters, and the rest of them, the elitist 1%. Watch these beta model robots in action and realize that this is not science fiction. This is real, and it is here, now. InfoWars, March 1st. And it's getting very scary. I mean, it's starting to look more and more like Terminator world every day, with drones, with self-thinking drones that can attack on its own without a person running it. Very scary. Next, U.S. Department of Homeland Security plans to release 1/3 of its illegal alien prison population who have been convicted of crimes. Of course, Janet Napolitano claims she cannot afford to house them. Well, send them back home across the border then. At the same time, the DHS can't afford to build new multi-million-dollar detention centers for illegal aliens who have no criminal record and are merely facing deportation. This is a political statement against sequestration budget cuts. InfoWars, February 27th. Quite mad is what it is called. Madness of our government. It's all back-assward, as they say. Up is down, down is up, left is right, black is white, and white is black. I mean, it's that bad. It's everything this country wasn't. It's backwards. Next, video. Italy's recent election resulted in deeply divided parliament with little expectations of agreeing on important issues, especially those that relate to solving the country's debt crisis. Voters reject austerity. Politicians continue to seek more debt, and the markets are in turmoil. Nothing good can come from this. The price of collectivism soon will be paid. Russian television, February 27th. Collectivist. These people are the few that will own it all, and we were nothing more than servants beneath them. The invisible shackles will soon become physical shackles with their way of thinking. Next, U.S. The International Dairy Foods Association and the National Milk Producers Federation have asked the FDA to allow aspartame, a known neurotoxic, and other chemical sweeteners to be added to milk products without labeling. Natural News, February 26. That's right, next time you start buying chocolate milk, instead of sugar in there, it'll be aspartame or something more neurotoxic in these artificial sweeteners that are out there. Next, Mexico's superior audit of the Federation has sternly recommended that Mexico verify its gold reserves that theoretically are on deposit in the Bank of London. Mexico's central bank, Banexo, has been spending billions to buy and store gold on blind faith with no proof that it even exists or is solely allocated to Mexico. The chances are excellent that the gold is not there, but rather than risk triggering international financial crisis, and auditors or the Mexican Central Bank will say that everything looks good. We shall see. Intelligentsia Financial, February 26. Yes, everything's just fine. Never mind the man behind the curtain type deal from Oz. This is all becoming the world of Oz. Nothing is as it seems. Next, U.S. Army refuses to drop charges against whistleblower Bradley Manning, even though he has been in prison for over 1,000 days without a trial. The Army says that nearly 3 years of delays is not a violation of the guarantee to a speedy trial provided under the U.S. rules for military commissions. It is believed that the delay and the threat of death penalty are being used to motivate Manning to plead guilty to lesser crimes, in which case a trial will never happen. Russian television, February 26. Yeah, they want him to lesser up. They're already pushing 20 years on a man who was a whistleblower who came out and said, our government's doing war crimes. And it's okay, I guess, if the government does war crimes now. It didn't used to be, but it is now. You know, Hitler should have been exonerated from the charges against him, apparently, and all the Nazis because of their war crimes. Just wrong, backwards wrong. Just wrong. I mean, they're just this should make your blood boil. Just that bad. Next, Louisiana. Officials from the Department of Health ordered the destruction of 1,600 pounds of deer meat that was donated to feed the hungry at a rescue mission. Deer meat is not on the list of approved food for shelters or restaurants. Isn't it nice to have government looking out for us? Washington Times, February 25th. You know that venison is very lean and healthy, and these people were just giving them the best for the shelter, and apparently you're not allowed to do that. They actually took the meat out, threw it in a dumpster, poured bleach on it, saying that they didn't want stray animals to eat the meat or get into it. But yet, you know, hungry animals, wild animals, may just get in there anyways and eat it and die. So where's the animal protection people and things. I mean, really, the meat should have been taken out and buried somewhere if they're going to do that type of crap. I mean, it's just unreal. Let the poor starve. Take their homes, take their lives, and then starve them to death. This is not America, as the song goes by David Bowie. U.S. Political Action Group, Organizing for America, is openly selling access to Obama for $500,000, $500,000, to raise $50 million to create an advocacy network. Obama rallied against the special interests when he was campaigning, and the video clips in this report show the sheer hypocrisy of his campaign speeches. He's lied since he's been in there the last time. If he didn't cheat to get back in there, I know not over 50% of the people voted for him. It just didn't happen. I mean, in Ohio and Florida, it was known that the write-in votes that you were able to send their votes in, absentee voting, were thrown out. It's been found out by voterfraud.org, and this is criminal activity. The powers that be, the elite 1%, are running things. Obama's not really running anything. You just think he is because he gets up there and spouts it. But he's not running nothing. He's a puppet. He's a puppet to the 1%. Elitist. Hot Air, February 25th. Next articles. U.S. Congressman reveals evidence that most of the email messages going to Washington lawmakers that support Obama's gun control campaign are fakes. His evidence shows that they are computer generated and come from people who don't exist. The Hill, February 25th. They're trying to take our guns away to turn us into slaves again. They want slavery. They want people living on property that doesn't belong to them and paying rent for it. No one will own their own property. It will be owned by the 1%. Oh. Afghanistan's President Karzai orders U.S. Special Forces to leave the Wardak province due to allegations that Afghans working for U.S. forces there have tortured and murdered other Afghans. CBS News, February 25th. They're called mercenaries. They're paid by our U.S. government, British government, and others to go into Afghanistan and do these things, to Syria and do these things. They're just mercenaries. Hired killers is what they basically are, with military background. Next article. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security has declared that areas 100 miles inland from the U.S. border are zones in which the Fourth Amendment does not apply. That's true. They can do whatever they want. Border agents now are authorized to search electronic devices at random without any reason at all, and certainly without a warrant. They're also allowed to download everything on your iPhone, on your telephone in general, your wireless telephone, on your iPad, on your laptop computer. They can do this. Story leak, February 24th. So everyone along the borders and along the coastal lines, you have no rights anymore, the Fourth Amendment. They've already taken that away. Next. The U.S. Department of Justice published a memo stating that the government's goal is to confiscate privately owned firearms. This is in direct opposition to Obama's administration claim that no guns will be taken away from lawful citizens. InfoWars, February 24th. They are going as hard and as fast as they can to turn you into peasants and to take away your way of defending yourself against them. Does the word feudalism, yes, feudalism, come to mind with this new form of government that's taken over America through foreign interest. It's feudalism. That's what we're heading towards. Next, 50 facts that expose the depth of fraud in the U.S. healthcare industry. For example, in 1960, an average of $147 were spent per person on medical care, but by 2009 the figure has skyrocketed to $8,086 and will be far greater under Obamacare. Meanwhile, the quality of healthcare has not improved. And it's going downhill. Florida has a lack of doctors. They're now making RNs doctors. Nurses are becoming doctors because they don't have real doctors. They have assistants doing the work. Economic collapse, February 24th. Next, reporter discovers that Jack Lew, Obama's candidate for Secretary of Treasury, has a contract with his present employer, Citibank, that gives him extra bonuses and perks if he accepts a high-level regulatory position with the federal government. It's worth a lot to a bank to be regulated by one of their own. They get all types of freebies and loopholes. Bloomberg posted February 23rd. This criminality, the banksters, the government in general controlled by such, and corporates of the industrial military complex that can't exist without bombs and bullets, so they keep wars and actions of that nature going and going and going and going. This boggles the mind, doesn't it? Next, Orange County, Florida. Peaceful activist is sentenced to 145 days in jail for distributing leaflets about jury nullification. Your rights to know that the judge is not Judge Judy or any of the other judges on TV in front of a courthouse. That activity is not against any law, but the judge made up a rule against it. Just made it up out of his mind, TV land judges where there is no jury. That's what they're heading to. That's what they want. They want you to be in a tribunal, not a fair court where you're judged by your own peers. This is just wrong. The rule was overturned, but the activist is still in prison. Activist post, February 23rd. You see what's coming? You see what's coming down the pipe? There it comes. Sewage from our own government. Japan's new Prime Minister, Shinzo Abe, plans to pull the country out of recession by imitating the policies of Federal Chairman Bernanke, flooding the country with money created out of nothing. Monopoly money. Consequently, the value of the yen has fallen, just as the value of the dollar has fallen. Japan's government debt now is equal to 230% of its gross domestic product. Therefore, if interest rates are even as low as 1%, the government will have to spend a fourth of its income to pay interest on its debt. And 4% interest would consume 100% of the nation's productive output. Can the end be far behind for Japan as well? BBC posted February 23rd. The U.S., Japan, you already have Greece falling, Spain falling. It's just a domino effect. It's coming down the pipe. Alright, here we go. Video. Washington State Governor Inslee, last week sought federal help in remediation of an old storage tank containing radioactive nuclear waste that is leaking at the Hartford nuclear dump site. Now it has been announced that the problem is much worse than thought. It's gushing, probably. There are 6 leaking tanks, not one. This is not good news for residents in that part of the state, especially if you have wells. Como 4 News, posted February 23rd. Next, China's environmental ministry admits that air and water pollution are so extreme in some areas that cancer villages have been created. This is due to the extensive use of toxic chemicals in manufacturing and agriculture. Officials say that they are going to do something about it. Let's hope so. But they have said that before. HuffPost, February 23rd. Next. Massive oil reserves have been discovered in southern and central California, with much of that area covered by farmland. Oh, there goes our farmland out in the west coast. May not be a great loss if it's radioactive from Fukushima. You should read the article that came out about Vancouver and Washington State, where they're saying that the radiation levels in strontium-90 is higher by almost 300%. Strontium is deadly, don't you know? Has a half-life of a few years, 30, 40, I don't know, maybe 400 years. I have to look it up. Can't remember what strontium is, but it's deadly once it contaminates something. The Bureau of Land Management is receiving hundreds of millions for selling drilling rights on federal land in that area. The shale-tapped oil will be extracted by fracking again. Chemicals pumped into the ground, poisoning the groundwater, blasting with water, sand, and chemicals. The good news is that oil will be abundant. The bad news is that fracking pollutes groundwater and could trigger earthquakes, especially in an earthquake-prone zone like California, with the San Andreas Fault. My golly, what are they thinking? Daily Mail, February 23rd. Oh, next article. Obama has dispatched 100 U.S. troops to Niger and is establishing a drone base there. This is part of a larger plan to move into Nigeria and exploit its oil reserves. Don't you know? That's the reason they're going there. To say, terrorists are in there. Let's go get the terrorists. And where he is for the 1% to get the oil and mineral rights and anything else they have of value. This is what they've been doing. Raping the world. Zero Hedge, posted February 23rd. Here is one of the first pictures that or videos. Actually, no one can balance and jump around on cylinders except these guys, and they can do it. You can see the cylinders set up. This guy's up here, probably a martial arts expert in kung fu or other. Click here and be amazed. They can do that type of stuff. They have the philosophy. Next. Video under analysis this week. James Covert explains why anti-war activists who rallied against the Bush administration for war crimes now are silent about the same war crimes committed by Obama administration. That's right. This continues. And nobody does anything. The UN's not even standing up. No one's standing up. NATO's not even standing up. Like I said, Hitler would have been welcomed today and been considered a nice guy for his war crimes and his Nazi under controllers. It is because the leadership of these groups are dedicated not to put an end to war, but to sustain the illusion of the two-party system. If they criticize both parties, their followers might wake up from their trance and know that the two wings of this bird is the same bird. One's red, one's blue. There's no difference in them. You got a single party. Covert Report, February 28. Video. The judge, Napolitano, discusses how Obama and labor unions are threatening to close down essential services as a fear campaign to stop sequestration. He also points out that sequestration is not a decrease in spending. It is a decrease in the expansion of spending. In other words, they won't go and do something over here more. They'll just continue what they got already and just expand on it. Fox Insider, February 27th. People gotta wake up, get out of your slumber, get out of your sleep, or else you'll find out, and it will be the hard way. Next, 5 little known consequences of fracking, blasting rock with water, sand, and chemicals to extract oil and natural gas. Natural Society, February 27th, which brings me to the new video out there put out by the fracking and oil companies called Frack Nation, which is just the opposite of the other one. They said were just scare tactics. Gasland was just a scare tactic. No, it wasn't. It was more true than the other one, the new one they got out. Oh man, Frack Nation. Gotta see that video. It's on Hulu. You can see that documentary on Hulu, and it was also on. It was on this channel. What is it? I'm trying to think of it. I have to zoom down here. Oh yeah, it's E. It was on E Action or something of that nature on the cable channels, but I can't think of it right now. Oh, Encore. Excuse me. I just thought of it. Next video. James Colbert reports that Argentina's supposed recovery after a massive financial crisis from 1999 to 2002 is a sham. The country's inflation rate is close to 30% and is on the verge of hyperinflation. The IMF censored Argentina for its economic failures and is demanding reforms. Ironically, it is the IMF and the U.S. banking partners who set the country on its current path, and now they're punishing him for it. It's madness. I'm telling you, the IMF is madness. International Monetary Fund is madness, along with the banksters. And all the IMF has members from previous presidents that are still alive. Colbert Report, February 26th. It's madness. Video. As the dateline approaches for the automatic across-the-board cuts in federal expenditures, the sequestration mandated by law, politicians are scrambling to figure out a way to unmandate it. We think they will succeed because most of them would rather prolong and deepen their financial crisis than do what is necessary to reserve it. Ben Swine explains the nasty details in Reality Check February 20th. And this is February 20th, and the day's March 1st, and Obama's, he's obligated to sign his little bill that he came up with, which he keeps trying to blame on the Republicans. And when they're both involved in it, like I said, it's the same bird with the same wings. One's red, one's blue. Don't you know? Next, gold and silver that doesn't exist except as paper contracts for future delivery are being sold into the market in a precise pattern that repeats every Monday morning. This is evidence of a concerted effort by banks to artificially depress prices. Why they would want to do this, how they get away with it, and what the ultimate consequences will be are explained in this analysis. Of particular interest is the section regarding the risk of acquiring precious metals in a rigged market. And it is rigged. They're printing like our money out of nothing. They're printing up gold statements saying, yeah, we're going to have this gold in the future. Well, the only reason they're going to have it in the future because they're going to Melina and Niger and all these countries over there. They're getting ready to attack with France and everything to get the gold, to try to back that paper up. This is what's getting ready to happen over there. Manila or whatever in north of Niger and that whole area. They're out to get Africa for its gold so they can back their vaults back up with gold for the paper they put out there that they don't have the gold to back. And when the paper becomes due, what they do is they'll say, well, we'll give you 20% more money back than what you put in, and we'll give you that, and all you're doing is taking their worthless paper that they're getting ready to dropped the bottom out of, and you're still not going to have your gold, physical gold that you ordered. Peak Prosperity, February 20th. This is the craziest stuff that's ever come down the pike, and here it comes down the pipe again. Here's how it's the cool down period. Great photos. Yes. And please help me to be good. A praying groundhog. That's what it looks like. Looks like a groundhog. Click to enlarge, and you'll be amazed. The humor for this week, and this picture of a bird with his head tucked down, looking like he's real depressed, saying, "Should have gone south with my friends." Oh, no doubt. Anywho, then we got the Unfiltered Forum. Questions this week are answered by the newsletter by G. Edward Griffin. Until next time, be good, or be good at it. And this will be at the description, or the link to this will be at beneath the video when it's posted for February 23rd through March 1st. And it was in reversed order. Okay. Have a wonderful weekend, and try to keep warm if you're in a cold place. It seems like a cold front. The jet stream went all the way down to, almost down to Miami. So it's getting chilly down there, and it's definitely cold up in our area of the Ohio Valley. It's supposed to get down to 23 tonight, and it's 27 right now. So until next time, this is Spellbinder doing the newsletter of the unfiltered news from the reality zone, where political correctness is not spoken here. Have a good weekend, good night, good day, wherever you're at.